In the depths of the cosmos, an ancient race believed themselves invincible. The Araxii, masters of destruction and conquerors of worlds, had never encountered resistance until Earth. But humanity has something that even the most powerful beings in the universe never expected: an unbreakable will to survive. This is the story of The Last Stand, the battle that changed the fate of the universe forever. Cue intense music and visuals of the Araxii ships descending on Earth, followed by humanity's desperate but determined resistance. Human resilience and adaptability are qualities deeply embedded in the DNA of our species, transcending the boundaries of mere survival. It is the ability to face adversity, no matter how insurmountable it may seem, and to find a way through it. This is the heart of the story in The Last Stand, where humanity faces a force unlike anything it has ever known: the Araxii, a race of interdimensional beings whose technological power and mastery of space-time are far beyond anything humanity could imagine. When these invaders descend upon Earth, humanity is initially overwhelmed. Cities are reduced to ruins, and the human race is thrown into panic. Yet what begins as a desperate struggle soon transforms into an unprecedented act of defiance as humanity taps into its greatest strength: the ability to adapt. At the outset, the Minddevourers, monstrous creatures capable of penetrating and corrupting the human mind, seem like an insurmountable obstacle. The Araxii deploy these horrors with ruthless precision, and their mere presence breaks the spirit of the human population. Entire cities fall into chaos as people become nothing more than mindless husks, their identities shattered by the creatures' psychic attacks. And to the Araxii, this is a victory, as it seems there is no way for humanity to mount a defense against such a terror. The invaders' confidence grows, knowing that their enemies are vulnerable not just in body, but in mind. However, what the Araxii fail to account for is humanity's unique ability to adapt. While the Mind Devourers' influence spreads, humanity does not fall apart. Instead, humans begin to learn. Scientists and engineers who were once focused on their fields of study begin collaborating in ways never before seen. The knowledge of one person is shared with another, and soon, across the globe, people are working together to understand these invaders and their attacks. The creation of the neural inhibitors and specialized helmets, which could block the psychic assault of the Mind Devourers, is a turning point. It was born out of desperation, but also out of a sheer refusal to submit to terror. These inventions became the first line of defense against the Araxii's overwhelming might. What followed was an unrelenting cycle of learning and countering the threats posed by the Araxii. Each new wave of monsters, creatures like the Voidwalkers, who could slip between dimensions, or the Soul Burners, whose flames could consume entire cities in an instant, was met not with fear, but with innovation. Every time the Araxii unleashed a new weapon, humanity found a way to either fight it or render it ineffective. The Voidwalkers, for example, presented a terrifying challenge, as they could appear and vanish in the blink of an eye. Yet, the people of Earth, instead of succumbing to fear, adapted. They developed sophisticated tracking technology, using sonar and infrared imaging to detect the creature's movements in the dark. What once seemed like an insurmountable advantage for the Araxii was turned into a vulnerability. Similarly, the Soul Burners, initially seen as a force that could raise the planet itself, were met with the development of fire-resistant suits and specialized countermeasures. It wasn't just the military that responded. Ordinary citizens contributed to the resistance effort. Engineers designed flame-resistant materials, while physicists and chemists worked on developing fire-retardant substances. And on the battlefield, humans didn't hesitate to use the very weapons their enemies had created. Instead of running from the fire, they ran toward it, finding ways to control and use the destructive power the Araxii unleashed. This was the defining characteristic of humanity's resistance. Not only could they adapt to every threat, but they could also turn the very tools used against them into instruments of their victory. This adaptability was not merely a response to the immediate threats, but a broader, more profound characteristic of human nature. Unlike the Araxii, whose methods of conquest were based on overwhelming force and brute power, humanity relied on resourcefulness. The Araxii were creatures of pride, secure in their superiority, and they never once considered the possibility that a species like humanity could adapt in ways that could overcome their power. They had underestimated humans, assuming that our reliance on technology and raw strength would be our undoing. But it was precisely this dependence on ingenuity and cooperation that allowed humanity to not just survive, but to fight back. What sets humanity apart is our capacity to learn from failure. Every time the Araxii struck, we did not crumble under the pressure. Instead, each loss, each setback, fueled our desire to overcome. The Earth's people refused to accept defeat as an option. Where the Araxii used their advanced technology to dominate, humanity used its creativity to evolve and counteract. It wasn't about having the strongest weapons or the most advanced armies. It was about using what was available, turning adversity into opportunity. This is a unique aspect of human nature, something the Araxii, despite their power, could never understand. Our determination to keep fighting, no matter how impossible the odds. Even when faced with the Araxii's final weapon, an entity that could tear apart reality itself, the strength of humanity's adaptability shone through. The creature that arrived was not just a monster, it was an existential threat to the very fabric of the universe. Its presence warped time and space, and it seemed that no force could stop it. But humanity, in its endless pursuit of survival, did not cower. They didn't throw their hands up in defeat or submit to despair. Instead, they faced the cosmic abomination with the same courage and resourcefulness they had used to overcome every other obstacle. Scientists, engineers, and ordinary people alike worked together to understand the creature's nature, devising strategies that no one thought possible. As the Araxii watched, their final weapon faltered, not because of sheer strength, but because of humanity's refusal to back down. It was not humanity's weapons or technology that won the battle, it was humanity's collective will to survive. In the end, the final weapon of the Araxii was undone, not by the most advanced technology, but by humanity's will to learn, adapt, and persist. This is the core of what makes humanity so formidable, the ability to take the most insurmountable challenges, learn from them, and turn them into an opportunity to grow stronger. The Araxii may have had the power to conquer worlds, but they did not understand the true strength of humanity. They underestimated our resilience, our capacity for innovation, and our refusal to give up. It is not merely physical strength that defines us, but our ability to adapt, to rise to any challenge, and to keep moving forward, no matter how hopeless it may seem. This is the essence of the human spirit, and it is what allowed us to turn the tide against the most powerful force in the universe. It is our greatest weapon, and it is the reason that, despite the odds, we are never truly defeated. The Araxii, with their vast powers and ancient history, had always seen themselves as the apex of existence. In their view, they were an unstoppable force, their technology so advanced that it allowed them to conquer and destroy civilizations without resistance. To them, every planet was simply another step on their journey of domination, and no species they had ever encountered had been capable of challenging them. The Araxii had perfected the art of annihilation, using their vast intellect and superior technology to destroy entire worlds, and they believed they would continue to do so indefinitely. The universe, to them, was a series of conquests, and their pride in this seemingly unbroken chain of victories was unmatched. When the Araxii turned their attention to Earth, they saw little reason to believe that this planet would be any different. Earth was a relatively insignificant speck in the vastness of space, and humanity, though resilient, was technologically primitive compared to the Araxii standards. In their arrogance, the Araxii assumed that humanity would be no more than another easy conquest, like the countless other species they had erased from existence. They viewed humans as fragile, barely evolved creatures who would either surrender in fear or be eradicated without a second thought. But the Araxii made a grave mistake. They underestimated humanity's capacity for resistance. At the start of the conflict, the humans were outmatched in every way. The Araxii unleashed their terrifying monsters, each more horrific than the last, designed to break both the body and the spirit. The Minddevourers, creatures capable of invading minds and destroying them from the inside out, seemed to be the perfect weapon. Their very nature struck at the core of what it meant to be human. Our consciousness, our thoughts, and our memories. The Araxii believed that once the Minddevourers attacked, humanity would fall apart in a matter of days. Their strategy was simple: break the human mind and the body would follow. And for a time, it seemed like they might be right. Cities fell into chaos as people were driven mad and humanity was plunged into fear. But what the Araxii did not realize was that humans are not easily broken. While the initial onslaught was devastating, humanity responded with something the Araxii had not expected: unity. Rather than surrendering or descending into total panic, the people of Earth rallied together. Military forces, scientists, engineers, and even civilians began to work together, pooling their knowledge and resources. Their collective resilience was unlike anything the Araxii had ever encountered. Every setback became a learning experience, and every defeat spurred the humans to come up with new solutions. They did not simply try to fight back. They adapted, grew stronger, and became more resourceful with every challenge they faced. As the Minddevourers attacked, humans began to develop countermeasures. Special helmets and neural inhibitors were created to shield the brain from the creature's psychic influence. These were crude at first, but they improved rapidly as more and more people contributed to the effort. What the Araxii had assumed was an insurmountable weapon became just another challenge for humanity to overcome. As the creatures unleashed upon Earth grew more monstrous, humanity's ability to adapt to each new threat turned the tide. Even the Void Walkers, shadowy creatures capable of slipping between dimensions, were countered with technology designed to track them, while the Soulburners' devastating fire was met with the development of flame-resistant suits and materials. Humanity had turned every weapon the Araxii used against them into a new opportunity to survive. The Araxii, used to overwhelming superiority, could not understand what was happening. Their monsters and weapons were powerful, but they were not invincible, and the humans refused to be cowed. The Araxii sent wave after wave of their horrific creations, hoping that eventually the sheer force of their power would break humanity's spirit. But each time the creatures were defeated, humanity found a new way to fight back. What the Araxii failed to recognize was that humans were not merely fighting to survive, they were fighting for something much deeper. For humanity, the struggle was not just about defeating an alien invader, it was about maintaining the essence of who they were. It was about preserving their world, their families, their way of life. In this fight, humanity did not just show resilience, they showed something far more profound: a refusal to accept defeat.